Just a sec. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Valley News Now desk. Duke Schindler here with you today. And obviously, as you can see behind me, we got a special day ahead of us. The great outdoors tonight, and we are joined by Doug Leier here from North Dakota Game and Fish. Of course, Doug, great to have you on again.
Yeah, it's great to talk the outdoors with you. I enjoy it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. And we obviously got probably the biggest season, maybe even just not in North Dakota, but just all around America here. The gun deer season getting ready to open here. Obviously, if you don't know, Friday, November 7th opens up at noon, closes Sunday, November 23rd. So just tell me a little bit more, Doug, about what we're expecting or what you're expecting here come opening weekend and day.
Well, a lot of different things coming together is the fact that, number one, if you were fortunate enough to draw a deer tag, it's really a challenge right now in North Dakota to draw a deer tag. So number one, if you were fortunate enough in the lottery to draw a tag, we're confident that our management of deer is that we want to make sure that if you draw a tag and you put in the time and your effort into it, you're going to have an opportunity to see a deer and to harvest that deer. And the deer population is down. The deer tag allocation is down. So, you know, when you look at it from a big picture, say compared to back in 2008 when we had 149,000 tags available and our hunter success rate was 65%. And then you look at now and we have about 42,000 deer tags available. So we have a lot fewer deer tags. We have a lot less deer on the ground. But the same goal is to provide an opportunity. And if you get that opportunity to draw a tag, to get out there and hunt, that you'll have a chance to find a deer and to shoot that deer. And I know for a lot of folks it's disappointing because as you referenced, this is really kind of like the granddaddy of them all. This is our Daytona 500, our Super Bowl of the outdoors. And while the participation is down, you can still take part. And there's nothing holding you back from coyote hunting, from pheasant hunting, from duck hunting and goose hunting. We actually do have a lot of people that mark off the opening day of deer season year after year, and they go back to the old stomping grounds with their dad or their uncle, their nephew, their neighbor. And even if they don't have a deer tag, they're going to be out there. They'll be walking the shelter belt. They'll be walking through the sloughs trying to help the other folks find a deer and tag that deer. So, I mean, you know, we want to be realistic, and we understand that the supply isn't meeting the demand. We still have nearly 80 to 90,000 hunters that are putting in for 42,000 tags. So just the odds of drawing a tag, they're slim. It really is. We've got some deer units where there were legitimately no lottery tags available. We have areas where gratis landowners had to go into a lottery. And the bottom line is habitat. And we have a lot of discussion going on about wanting to have more deer, wanting to have better odds at drawing a tag. Yeah. And it comes down to habitat. When I referenced back in 2008 when we had 149,000 deer tags available, well, we had almost 3.5 million acres of CRP. Now we have 1 million or less. So we've lost about 2/3 of our habitat, and the deer population has shrunk, so the deer tags are reduced. So the opening day, tomorrow, 12 noon in North Dakota, and for those that drew a tag, we're hoping that you can have a great, safe season.
Definitely. And you mentioned the 140+ thousand tags in 2008, obviously 42,000 just over that this year. You mentioned the numbers of the deer are down, but what else has contributed to the lesser amount of tags?
Yeah, so the big one is the habitat. You know, I referenced that a little bit, but there's so many other things that come into play. In different areas of the state, we talked about earlier, we've had EHD, epizootic hemorrhagic disease. So we've had disease issues in deer. And we've had some tough winters. You know, quite frankly, you go back 2 years ago, the winter of 22-23 was a tough winter. And the problem with deer is that it takes a long time to build a population. You know, first you have to have the habitat. Then you have to have the better winter conditions. And we can grow a deer population over the course of decades, but unfortunately, when we don't have that habitat and we get disease issues and we get a nasty winter or two back to back, it really makes it a challenge to try to maintain and even grow that deer population. So sure, the habitat is number one, but some of the other contributing factors are the bad winters and then some of the mortality from disease. And it's just, you know, It's like being a Vikings fan. Well, you're a Timberwolves fan. I mean, you got these hopes, you got these dreams, you got these expectations, and then when you get into the field, you just go, man, we just got our butt kicked. And that's what happens, and it's no different. We'd love everybody to have a championship. We'd love everybody to go out there and shoot a big buck, and everybody gets a deer tag, and everybody's smiling. But we also want to make sure that people don't lose sight of the fact that part of the heritage of hunting is just getting out there. It's out there, away from maybe some of the stress of work and life, getting together with friends and family, and maybe some people, the opening weekend of deer season is much easier to gather the football team back together versus Thanksgiving. You go back home on Thanksgiving, you got family commitments. But we see that in different areas where, hey, opening weekend of deer season, some of these guys every year for the last 20 years, they get together, opening day of deer season, and they get back together, and a few guys have a tag, a few guys don't have a tag, but it's the kind of the joy of getting back together in the old hometown and getting outdoors. So don't lose sight of that. We want to make sure that there's something about just playing the game, and this is supposed to be enjoyable, and this is supposed to be fun, and you're not always going to win. Not everybody's going to get a trophy, not everybody's going to win, but there's also got to be some fun in just getting out there, going for a walk, and being in the great outdoors, Duke.
It really is kind of Christmas for the guys, right?
It is.
Christmas for the guys, Christmas for the gals, or whoever is out there, your loved ones, whether it be friends or family here. And then you mentioned too, Doug, back in 2008 with that many tags, also a 60% success rate around there. Does that play into factor this year as well? You still want that hover around that 60% kind of success rate.
That's still our goal. So whether we're issuing 140,000 plus tags or we're issuing 42,000 tags, we still like to see a 60% or more success rate. And some of that does come back to the hunter. So statistically, you've got a tag filled or a tag that isn't filled, but you might just go out for a half a day and you don't even get out of the truck. You go out and you go for a drive and I didn't fill my deer tag. Well, it shows up as unsuccessful, but you might have just had fun. Yeah. You were there with your brother, you were there with your dad, and even though you didn't shoot a deer, you didn't see a deer, you might say, you know what, my heart got full. I had some fun, and it was successful. You may hunt 16 and a half days. You may hunt every single day, all day long, and you get to the final day of the season, the final hour of the season, and you see this small buck, and it's 100 yards away, and you can squeeze the trigger and shoot that deer and fill a tag. You say, you know what, I'm going to let that one go until next year. I'm going to let that one grow. Well, statistically, you didn't fill that tag. But you may say, gosh, you know what, I had a chance, and it was a great season. I hunted every single day. The other side of it is we also hear from some people where they hunt 3-4 days, 5-6 days, and they find a small deer, and they say, well, I want to get some deer sausage. So they fill their tag, but they're not happy. They filled the tag, they hunted 5 or 6 days, but so statistically it shows up as a filled tag, but they're not happy. Some hunters, it can show up as an unfilled tag, and they are happy. So the statistics, when we look at it, the social dynamics of it are really fascinating. So when we look at it, and if we can see that 60-65% success range, then we feel like what we're doing from Game and Fish is we're not just simply issuing tags to issue tags, and people have a reasonable opportunity to find a deer and to fill that deer tag.
Yeah, and success is almost objective, just the way you explained it. Yeah, you don't fill the tag, but at the same time, you had a great time.
Yeah, right. I mean, think about this. Maybe
that's even bigger success rate when it comes down to the numbers.
No, and it is. And it is. It's similar, like you're ahead 31-3 at the half, and you end up winning 31-27. Wow, our second half was absolutely terrible. It shows up as a win, but you're really not that happy about it. So there's a lot of different, philosophical and mental parts of whether it's hunting or sports, and then kind of that parallel. Yeah. And the bottom line is success is an individual accomplishment for each individual hunter. It's the same thing for fishing and everything. Some people are just happy getting out there and wetting a line. They don't care if they catch a fish. They don't mind. They catch a bullhead. Like, hey, we were out there. We had some fun. And hunting can be in that same way.
Yeah, we've all had those instances too when you're with Pa at the time and you see one, you just want to fill the tag, but he kind of just drops the hand down and says, we'll just leave that one for next year.
Right.
What kind of lessons can you get from that, especially for those younger hunters too?
And it does. And I think mentors and adults have a big responsibility in that, because you take some of those young hunters out there, and you got to make sure that you're teaching them that this is about more than just simply finding the biggest buck and shooting the biggest buck. And it's okay to let one go. It's okay to shoot a small buck and say, hey, this may not be a wall hanger, but we had a good hunt and we made a good shot, and we're going to have stories to tell in the future. We're going to have some jerky to eat, some venison, some steaks and some sausage. And there's a lot to be said for, really the responsibility of each hunter, and especially those mentors. So it's a really good point that you brought up there.
Definitely. It's about the experience when it all comes down to it, Doug. And, we all know that fun and excitement, that feeling you get inside that opening days right there. But also, it does come with some rules as well. Obviously, what are some of the game warden and enforcement reminders for some?
Yeah, and understand this, our game wardens, and I can speak for Minnesota, for South Dakota, and for North Dakota, the goal is compliance. What they want, they know a lot of these hunters, you're getting away from some of the challenges in life, and you want to get outdoors, and the last thing you want to do is end up with a ticket. And quite frankly, the game wardens, the best season for them is everybody's safe and nobody gets a ticket and everybody's compliant.
Makes their job easy in the end.
It does. And number one, in North Dakota, we want to encourage and make sure that the hunters are tagging their game immediately. So that's the way our law reads, is once you shoot that deer, your responsibility is to walk up to the deer and to put that tag on there. It's not after you take a picture of it. It's not after you field dress it, not after you drag it out to the pickup truck. Immediately tag your deer. Now, there are some people that try to skirt the rules because they want to sneak back out there and try to shoot another deer. We hear a million different excuses, but the law requires you, when you shoot that deer, walk up to it, put that tag in the ear, put that tag on the antler, and notch out the date on there, and that's the way the law is. Before you take pictures, and we get reports of somebody that posted pictures on social media. Oh, that deer, that big buck, that I've been watching that buck for years, and now the neighbor, he shot it and he took a picture of it. He doesn't have a tag on there. It just causes a lot of problems for hunters. And the best suggestion, the best advice that we can give is to, by the rule of the law, is to tag the deer immediately. One of the other ones, we've talked about electronic posting and land access in the past, and if I could simplify it, if you're a hunter and you pull up to a piece of property, and if there's a sign up that says no trespassing, if there's a tire that says no hunting, the rule of the law is that for hunting on posted land, the sign has to be every 880 yards, or it can be electronically posted, or it can be both. What we try to tell hunters is don't look for loopholes. All that's going to do is cause friction between hunters and friction between hunters and landowners. And again, the best advice we can give is, if you don't know, then don't go. Man, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's posted legal. I think I could probably go around this other end and get in there and say, well, I didn't see the sign. And unfortunately, that can just end up in bigger problems. So those are a couple of the big rule and regulation reminders, is to tag immediately, and then for land access, if you don't know, if you're not sure about it, then just don't go. Contact the game warden and ask them, find out, hey, is this something that I can do, or what is the correct rule on that?
Yeah, save yourself a headache.
Yeah.
And then kind of sticking with that same realm here, when we get into that deer stand, Doug, we got to make sure we're safe up there. What are some reminders that you have for some, hunters in the area, even new hunters and old hunters?
Yeah, and that's, when you mentioned that, one of the biggest hurdles that we have is some of the veteran hunters that say, well, we've always done it like this. It ain't going to happen to me. The 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And I'm here to tell you, it does happen, and it can happen. And we just want to make sure that everybody stays safe. So don't think these hunting safety reminders are for everybody else, because this is the way we've always done it. Blaze orange, number one. Make sure that you've got the blaze orange on. There's going to be tens of thousands of hunters out, whether it's North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. So a blaze orange hat, and not, camouflage. Make sure that it's a blaze orange hat. When you start seeing some of the camouflage blaze orange, when it gets to be sunset or sunrise, it actually looks kind of dark. And the whole goal is to keep you safe. So in North Dakota, we require a blaze orange hat. We also require a blaze orange above the waist. and there is specifics as to how many square inches. Put on a blaze orange vest. Don't try to meet the minimum requirements. We want to make sure that you're safe, so blaze orange is key. Even if you're not hunting, we see that from people that are, on a beautiful afternoon, going out for a walk, going out to get the mail. For some of the folks that live in the country, they put on an orange hat. They have an orange hat inside their truck if they're out farming, out combining. So make sure that you've got some blaze orange with you. For the hunters also, treat every gun as if it were loaded. Make sure that you do not have a loaded firearm in your vehicle. Make sure that you got control of the muzzle, pointing the muzzle down, and every single time. It's not just once. It's not just the first time. We encourage people. We've talked about it in the past too. Buckle up, wear your seatbelt. Sometimes people get out into those rural areas like, wow, you know what? We can loosen up a little bit. And we'll be just driving down this gravel road. There's going to be a lot of activity. There's farmers that are out there getting corn off. There's people traveling back and forth from football games and volleyball games. So there's still a lot of activity in the rural areas. So again, we want to make sure that everybody stays safe. And for the hunters out there, know that there are a lot of farmers getting some corn off. There's a lot of equipment that's moving. For the hunters, don't block the roads. Don't block the approaches. And when you see those combines out there, and if there are deer popping up, just stay clear, okay? Yep. There is no deer that is worth anything. Just stay clear of that, because unfortunately sometimes we get reports of folks in the combine, and they're combining corn, and there's hunters they're driving down a trail and they're waiting to see some of the deer run out of the corn, and that's just not a good situation for anyone. So please don't be doing that.
On top of that, too, for us here at Valley News Live, we'd much rather be posting about the big trophy buck that you shot rather than an accident happening as well.
Great point.
On that same topic of rules/safety here, Doug, are there any rule changes you're aware of that could really differ between someone that's used to hunting in a different state like Minnesota, South Dakota, and they're trying out North Dakota for the first time?
Yeah, and that's something that we really try to stress to people, is to check those rules and regulations, because every state is just a little bit different. I think one that is very unique to North Dakota is our deer season opens up on Friday at 12 noon. Friday at 12 noon. It doesn't open up at 11:59 or 11:55 or 11:50. And I've explained to people, you might be heading out to that rock pile, but if you park your truck at 11:30 and you think, I'm just going to walk out to that rock pile, you're walking out to the rock pile and you kick up the 30-point buck. And it's 11:45. It's not 12 noon. The deer hunting season in North Dakota starts at 12 noon, not 11:59, not 11:55. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that always just try to kind of, we'll just start a couple minutes early. And I'm just here to remind you that 12 noon is 12 noon. It's not 11:59. It's not 11:55, Duke.
Please save Doug from any headaches, and yourself from
Right.
headaches.
Yeah, we've got lots of aspirin. We can take that. It's some of the hunters that are violating the laws. They're the ones that are going to be going, oh, why was I doing that? What was I thinking? What was I thinking? And that, one of the other points to remember is if you do see a violation taking place, please report that to a game warden.
Yeah, great point.
We've got I think about 35, 36 field game wardens across North Dakota, and there's tens of thousands of hunters out there. Our game wardens can't be everywhere at once. If you see a violation, we're not asking you, don't put yourself in harm's way, but jot down the information, contact your local game warden, contact your local deputy sheriff, law enforcement, and they can get you in contact with the game warden, because we want to make sure that any kind of poaching is definitely reported, and our game wardens can take care of it.
Got to play by the rules here.
That's right.
Got to play by the rules. But before we let you go, Doug, on the lighter side of things, it's like we've mentioned, this is a holiday for a lot of people, whether you're getting together with friends or family. Doug, do you have a favorite opening weekend or gun deer season story?
Honestly, and it's going to be a little bit different this weekend, but we do a lot of work this time of year. I mean, our job is to get people out into the field, and sometimes the weather on the opening day is going to be, tomorrow might be okay, but there's been a few different Fridays when I've sat down on the banks of the Cheyenne River and gone fishing, because everybody else is out deer hunting.
That's a great point.
So just because you didn't draw a deer tag, our pheasant season open, we've got a lot of ducks and geese that have finally started to move through. I want to encourage you to get outdoors. Go fishing. get out there, go for a walk. But, as far as the deer season side of things, I think for me is, a lot of my job is trying to make sure that people get those questions answered and they can get out into the field. And there is nothing better than the smile on the face of a deer hunter that is getting out there on opening day. And so to all the thousands of lucky hunters that drew a tag, good luck to them, and hopefully they have a safe, successful season.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm a muzzleloader myself, Doug, before Dad brought in the shotgun there, but it's also just such a great season.
Yeah.
To whether it be family or friends, just getting out there, hitting the stand, and seeing what you can find, whether you see something or you don't.
Yeah, and
that squirrel can be just as entertaining.
I was just going to say that, sometimes some of the greatest stories have nothing to do with the deer. You're out there waiting for the deer, and you see an otter swimming down the river or something like that. Or you're watching, oh, look at that. There's a big moose that went walking by. So you're not going to see that sitting at home in your basement.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us here on the Valley News Now Network. Doug Leier here joining us with North Dakota Game and Fish, talking that gun deer season. Doug, do you have anything left in the tank to let our viewers know here? Stay safe, obey the rules, and enjoy the great outdoors. We love it. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us here on the Valley News Now desk. For Duke Schindler and Doug Leier, we'll catch you later.